And the new band don't start from Monday to July.
January 1. Is when they said they'll start dispersing funds.
Collected.
Yeah, they collected that.
January 1, and that's what we're talking about is.
You gonna be on CNN
Get ready.
News
January 1.
on the corner.
Thank you.
Bye. Did you turn it off? No. Rhonda, delete.
They traded, so they Stone Road was the hospital system. And they traded that.
Have we checked, obviously we had to check the state, because she's saying some change in bands, we didn't check that.
That's what they gave us. They must have not given me the right roads. That's what,
Philadelphia Church Road, Zilla Church Road, and Elizabeth Church Road.
those are the bands?
That's band three.
Okay.
Well,
We're on
you
band.
can change bands, even right now, even though it says that right there, you can change bands, you just have to go for RC, and we can do all that. You make the priorities and we'll, now, let me say this, the money's got to be about the same.
Yeah.
You know, they allocate so much money for you and band too, so I don't want, and if you don't put enough,
Yeah.
then they will take it away from you, so we've got to make sure what we're trading, that we're smart about it. You don't want to give up an $800,000 one for a $400,000 one, just to trade bands now.
Well, they're not gonna be enough money to finish band three.
Well, here's my plan.
Yeah.
Okay? And I know I want us to go ahead and I want us to be ready for band two. January 1st, I want our plans to be ready, and then we'll bid it out around Thanksgiving. On January 1, we'll start, so we'll be through with band two, and so we'll do the same thing with band three. We'll get I want all my clients to get their money. And the ones that, the people that drag, I can't help them. Hey, Steve.
How are you, man?
It's good to see you.
Chad.
Sorry I'm late, but when you got customers out there coming to pay you stuff, it's hard. I am here. We're supposed to start at 5:15, I guess I'm gonna start at 4:15. 4:15, we're ready to start. Now, I'll start. This meeting is in order.
Would you like, you want me to start?
Yeah, I mean, just let us know when we need to move so we can see the.
Let me just say a few things before we get started. Number one, there's two things that we'd like to talk about. Number one is the T-Splots. What was passed, it's my recommendation to all my clients in this area that we go ahead and start the design on this, say in June 1. Be ready to go on January 1st. In other words, we'll bid it out in November. We'll tell the contractor we're waiting on January 1st, and we'll be ready to move and lay asphalt on January 1. Now, it'll be January when the contract's made. I called the state director, Mike Dover, he and I are friends. He said, Carl, I highly recommend you do that. We're not collecting as much money as we were. The earlier you get it, the earlier you're gonna get your money. And I do that, and I say that also for band three when it comes up, because I want to be completely done with band two. I don't want any money hanging out there on band two. So when band three comes, we'll be ready to go in band three. So we're gonna talk about the roads. Wayne, we did not no, y'all's band change has not gone through yet, so if you want to do a band change, we need to do it. But Bridgeford Church Road is the main one that we want to talk about. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, there's something called, and on Bridgeford Church Road, I think FDR, low depth reclamation is gonna be the only way we're gonna fix that road. That road, the base is gone on that road. I would like to tell you that the state director told me, he said, Carl, on all these TIA projects, the only money we put in there is an inch and a half. I said, Mike, you didn't put in there for patching? Nope. I said, you didn't put in there for leveling? He said, nope. And that's why y'all have come out with, you've had to use your discretionary money to supplement the paving of these roads. Now, if you'll look on the first page of this, we brought the first 3 TIA projects in approximately $80,000 under the money. I like to tell you that's just because I'm a great engineer and that's what happened, but really, instead of $100 a ton, we got $80 a ton. Okay? So all these estimates are based on $80 a ton, correct? So it's going to cost more. I know you don't want to hear, but it's going to cost more to do Bridgeford Church Road right. You just can't go put an inch and a half of asphalt down on Bridgeford Church Road. It ain't going to work. So we're going to go over those numbers with you. The second thing I want to talk about is called pavement management, and it's kind of a new trend. I think Los Angeles does it. Some other cities and counties do it throughout the United States. And Chad is a accredited pavement manager, and what that boils down to is, if you've got X amount of money, let's just say you've got $100 between all your money you got coming in. Well, your first instinct and what everybody in the country has been doing is they'll put 90% of that on the roads that are failing. In a typical county, you have about 25% of your roads are in A+ condition. You've got about 50% of them in B+ to down to C, kind of that middle. And then you got about a quarter of them that are just, they can't hardly get any worse. Well, the new trend now is to take money on that middle 50% and put money on that, okay, to prolong the life of that pavement. In other words, before it gets down to the critical stage, it looks like Bridgeford Church Road. Go ahead and take some money, and where it's emulsified, or slurry, or tack, whatever it is, to prolong it. I'm not going to beat you to death on that. I'm not asking y'all to do anything on that. But some of our counties are hiring us to rate the roads, rate what it would take to prolong the pavement. So it's just something we offer you, and not, and a lot of people are doing it, and it seems to work out well for them. So if the first thing we want to talk about, y'all want to talk about Bridgeford Church Road, or you want to hear the pavement management? Or do you care?
And they're kind of integrated. I kind of get into Bridgeford Church when I get into the FDR process. I won't bore you to tears, and I can go as fast as or as slow as you would like for me to go. But it is pretty interesting.
Do you think we need to look at it?
If you don't mind, if y'all could come look at the TV, sorry to make you move it. It's going to show up better on y'all's TV than it would on the projector.
Now,
Sorry.
Reed selling popcorn, there's a little extra that we do that we like to know about that.
You told me
Maybe
you'll
a
pay
payday
that
or
or
something.
something back. There, the house. You did, okay.
All right, thank y'all for moving, sorry about that. Reed Lovett is also, he is an accredited pavement manager. So he-
I'm sorry, this is Chad Hofstadter, Hayes' brother. This is Chad Hofstadter and Reed Levitt with our firm.
So basically, I'll go real quick. There's 3 basic steps into pavement management that you need to know about, that it entails. You've got to collect, in order to manage your pavement, you've got to know what you've got. So you've got to rate it. And that's a continuous process. It's not just, you just go out and do it at one time, because today the road's going to be different than it will be in a year. That can be simple, that can be complex. And there's also, you need to integrate that into a software that can tell you, how your asset is performing, how to improve the asset, et cetera. The second step is pavement preservation and maintenance. Think of it like changing the oil in your car. You've got to do it, or it's going to deteriorate a lot faster than you want to. And then the final is in-place asphalt recycling. The best way to think about that is roads are your number one asset monetarily. You have to use them every day. You've already paid in full to go to the quarry, get that rock out, put it in your roadways, and pave it. So instead of ripping it up, and I'll get to that in Bridgeford Church, ripping it up, trucking it off and bringing it all back in, why not reuse it in place? It's going to save you 40 to 50%, and it's going to perform just as well, if not better, than the traditional method. So this is kind of a diagram of how it works. Like I said, I'm not going to bore you with the minutia. I can do that anytime if you want me to. It's not magic. It didn't just start today. Some municipalities in Georgia, Forsyth County, Heard County, Rockdale County, and then cities as small as Oakwood, utilize this program and manage their pavements. And then also, to give you another example, the biggest municipality in the Western Hemisphere, Los Angeles, uses this
To put it in simple terms, I interrupt for 1 second. Here we go, and we analyze your roads. We tell you what condition all your roads in, how much life we think your roads have. If we need to rehab the roads, then we'll come back and tell you how to do it. And then if we need to repave it, then we'll select the preferred alternative. So it's as simple as that.
So and I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on this, but the data collection and software, it can be simple, it can be complex, it's got to be continuous. Pavement management software, the most popular ones are Micropaver and Street Saver. They all have their benefits. They're going to end up in the same spot. There's one way, six one way, half a dozen the other. It will create budget reports, get your PCI ratings, all that fun stuff. It also, the GASB 34 statement, basically, you can use this software to give you a modified approach for depreciation, and it lets you tell you how much your roads are worth. And final saying is your bond rate will go up with good things. Okay, here's real quick the software. This is the way you want it to work. The high blue bar chart is your bad roads in millions of dollars, and the line is your PCI, which is your pavement condition index. As you utilize this, your bad roads will go down, your backlog of bad roads will go down, and your PCI will go up. That's where you want to get. That's where you want to get. So the next step is preservation and maintenance. A program employing a network level long-term strategy that enhances pavement performance by using an integrated, cost-effective set of practices that extend pavement life, improve safety, and meet motorist expectations. And that's from a task group from the Federal Highways Administration. The key is to extend your pavement. Okay, so, and this has been studied, tried and true. You save $7 to $10 per square yard in future spending by spending $1 today to preserve your roads. Now, that's like changing the oil in your car, and there's dozens of tools in the toolbox to do that. It's not just thin overlay, medium overlay, thick overlay. There's a bunch of other processes. And engineers have to understand what causes the distresses to determine the treatment required. Here's some of the processes that we can use all the way from crack filling. You see on state routes. DOT's using this right now. You see the seals on the state routes where they come in and basically put that where the cracks are.
It looks like a bunch of worms on the highway. What that is, that seals and doesn't let water in to your base. And all that'll do is for 2 or 3 more years, you don't have to do anything to it because it just extends it. And so these are all the different techniques that we can use, or the county can use, to keep that middle 50%, to keep it running, and keep it rolling, to keep it from deteriorating.
Okay, so again, real quick, this is a typical curve of your roadway. In the green are your good, the yellow is your kind of caution or your fair, and then the red is going to be your FDR, Bridgeford Church. You want to keep in the green, you still want to do small treatments to the green. You don't want to completely just, when you're done with it, and just forget about it for 10 years, because then you're going to get into the yellow where you can see where it steepens, and the road gets a lot worse, a lot faster.
These are the different conditions I was telling you about, and this is just years. And you can tell when it starts getting about right in at 50%, it just drops like a rock. But once it gets bad, I mean, it can't get much worse, so it just sits there and it stays bad. So that's the whole point. The next slide is gonna.
So even at the top of the curve, which is a lot less expensive because your road is in better shape per square yard, and you want to have preventative maintenance as opposed to your light blue, which is pothole. So if all you do is go out there and fix potholes, you can tell how long it's going to last. Everyone's driven over a pothole within a year. You got to fix it again, and that's just the way that goes.
And this is years. You can see if you spend a little money on this road, even when it gets down to that 50%, if you spend a little money, it projects out years. It'll keep that road, running for years. So that's the whole theory behind it.
And then the last part of the process is asphalt. It's the number one recycled product in the country, and we only recycle 3 in place. Now, like I was saying before, it'll save you 40 to 50%. Instead of traditional cutting it out and filling it back up, because that rock you've already paid for. There's no reason to rip it out and bring in new and go back to the quarry and pay them again to put new rock when it's going to be just as good using one of these 3 processes, which are hot in place recycling, cold in place recycling, and full depth reclamation. Now that's a slide that shows the different processes, but here's basically what it is. So you've got, and for each one of these processes, there's different parameters you have to meet. You can't just say, well, let's just do this one here, this one here, this one here. We've got a core drill. We've got to know what you've got in the ground to make sure that the process is going to work. Basically, you've got a propane tank feeding heaters sequentially. They're going to come in, and here's your existing oxidized asphalt. They've already run a pass through here, and this is in one train. So obviously traffic, it doesn't take 6 months to do it, it takes a couple of weeks. You come in, you heat the asphalt up, and then what you're going to do is you're going to have these tines that are spring loaded in the hot in place. And so they're going to come up, and the asphalt is so soft and heated that it just pulls it off, and then you're going to have augers that bring it into a mixer. You're going to inject a rejuvenating agent that basically rejuvenates that asphalt. And it's going to come back into your traditional screed or your paver, and it's going to come down. It's going to come down looking like that. Now, and I know an issue is going to be, the hot mix asphalt guys are going to like, where do I stand in this? I mean, I still, I want to put down asphalt. Well, this is not going to be what you drive on. You still have to come on top of it with an overlay, with a thin overlay, but you don't have to go in there and do all the expensive work where you take it out, bring it back in.
Now, on this, the base has to be good.
On everything but the full depth reclamation, you've got to have a good base because we're not, Okay, that's the before and after picture. Once you get that terrible alligator in, you're not going, you can patch it, but there's a bunch of different considerations, but that's basically what it's going to look like before and after. Cold in place, again, those are the 3 different sub-disciplines of it. Real quick, instead of just putting an overlay on your asphalt, you go in and take a reclaimer or a pulverizer. It's the big, big tired pulverizers with the carbide teeth. They're going to come in and they're not going to go into your base. Hot in place and cold in place do not go into your treated base, your GAB or your soil cement. But they're going to go into old, if you've got 4 or 5 inches of asphalt where they've just paved over, instead of paving over again, you come in and mix this up, treat it, and then you're adding structure instead of, and you're doubling your crack mitigation, so the cracks won't show up for twice the amount of time. And then you again have to come over because there's going to be a 10 to 12% air void in that base with a wearing course or asphalt.
But if the asphalt's not over an inch and
Exactly.
half,
Exactly.
Go back.
but you
Just
don't
one
just
second.
chew an inch and a half up and let it lay back and then top coat it.
You can basically, say it again, I'm sorry.
If the asphalt is on there,
Right.
it's about an inch and a half thick. You gonna go there with a grinder and grind up that 1.5 inches?
You're not gonna be able to do cold in place with that little amount of asphalt, because I'm not getting into the base, there's not enough material there to fix it.
This is if it's been laid over 2 times.
We ain't got nothing like that.
No, and it's not, and it's all, you don't have to use, and there's it, and that's actually got a crushing and screening operation, that's a multi-unit. All right, now into FDR.
This is what, everybody pay attention, because this is what I think we're gonna have to do on Bridgeville.
Bridgeford Church. Basically, this is the only one of any of the treatments that you're going into your GAB or your soil cement. And you're taking your pavement and you're taking a specified, say 8 inches of your base, and you're grinding it all up, and you're putting Portland cement on top of the road and mixing that in. And all the while, you're spraying water to cure it. And then you come in, and I will go through, there's about 5 steps that it utilizes. But that's basically what it looks like when that pulverizer comes in and just mixes everything up. So step 1 is to pulverize, and that's a reclaimer, that's a pulverizer. You come in there and mix it all up. Then step 2, which you can do this at the same time, they spread dry Portland cement in front of that reclaimer. And this thing is mixing that Portland cement right behind this water truck, spraying water to cure the cement. And then you come in behind it with your motor grader and you grade it. And then you've got to have heavy compaction to get in there and compact this new in situ roadway on top of it. And then finally, you've got to have your wearing course, your inch and a half of asphalt, your surface treatment, whatever we decide, depending on traffic studies and all that stuff, what needs to go down, that goes on top of it. And so you go from that to that. Now, Band 2, I know these aren't the roads on your Band 2 anymore, but Bridgeford Church needs FDR. So that is actually what Bridgeford Church is. Now, if there's less than 20% of the road that needs patching, you don't want to bring in a pulverizer and FDR, because it's going to be more expensive to do that, because there's a cost for, you need about 10,000 square yards to bring in a FDR operation. Here's another picture of the road. It's just, you've worn through your wearing surface down into your base. I mean, it's just pieces. So that's the FDR process.
So, either you can pick the good stuff or the bad stuff. Believe it or not, Hofstadter Associates at DOT actually agreed. And I don't always agree with DOT, but they recommended a chip seal after FDR.
And I was going to go over when we got, I was going to go over the estimates real quick.
Are there any questions on this? I know that was quick, but it is something that I'm gonna do to all our clients, because I do think rating your roads, doing preventive maintenance is something that you need to consider, and you can do that with your discretionary funds. You can do it with LMIG. So anyway, not asking you to take action on it, but I will be back with Gary, to talk about, if y'all are interested in doing something like that. Now, you can get the lights over there.
Got him.
Really, they know the way to fix that.
There's not. There's not.
I'll tell you.
Sorry.
And we need it where it's not going to tear up. That's where there's a lot of heavy traffic on that road.
Well,
That's right.
what I don't want to do is just overlay that, because that's just not going to.
Tear
Well,
off
if
quicker
you
than you
do
can.
that, in 1 year, it'll be back in.
That's exactly right.
Because of heavy traffic.
And I ran on these estimates, and you can look through them at your leisure. The top estimate is if we go in, patch, and then level, and then put 1.5 inches of asphalt on top of that. The alternate bid below.
Now, how much is that?
That for Bridgeford Church, and this includes FDR. In none of these estimates I'm talking about patching the entire thing. This includes 2.3 miles needed of the 6.71 needs FDR. The whole thing doesn't need FDR, so I'm not going to come in and just FDR the whole thing. But when we've got long stretches of that, I've got to. And that's 1.284. Okay, if you come in and instead of putting 1.5 inches of asphalt on top of that, we use a double surface treatment with a sand seal. that's gonna be a good wearing course, and it's gonna last. I know there's heavy traffic, but there's not as much traffic as, say, Bell Telephone. So it's a good kind of in the middle treatment that's gonna last.
Guys, it's all you can afford, you know.
And I don't, if you looking through this, and I know the roads have changed, but if we just put an inch and a half, if we patch leveled and put an inch and a half of asphalt, you're gonna have to come up with $800,000. Okay, if we go in and if we level and then bring in the double surface with a sand seal,
FDR.
and all of these include FDR, then you need to come up with $250,000 to $300,000, which is exactly what the FDR cost is. So the original estimates did not take into account FDR, and that's the bottom line. So I will redo my estimates for the new roads in Band 2, but I can go ahead and tell you the end result is going to be about the same. Because in Bridgeford Church, we had to add the $250,000 to $300,000 for the FDR fixed project. And there's no way around it.
And that is the way it is on every single county and city that we do.
Your roads are failing quicker than you can fix them. And so
With all this money.
And so I just want to, and that's why we bring this pavement management. You know, I know there's some bad roads, we may just have to live with them for a while to help preserve the good ones that you got. But right now, what I'm requesting is that on the roads that are in your Band 2, we would like to go ahead, starting on June 1st, we would like to go ahead and do the design and have the bid documents ready to go to bid sometime in November, and then be ready to go on January 1.
when Band 2.
Band 2, not Band 3, but Band 2. So, there you have it.
That is, oh my God.
How much money on the TIA and on the Bridgeport Road, you know?
You've got $844,000 on Bridgeford Church. Yes, sir.
So, with
So if you
Very bottom.
Very bottom. So, TI.
And obviously, if the roads have changed due to a van change, Pat Dixon and W.S. Smith I'll rerun these for you.
on Dixon and Smith, we don't have to do FDR on those, do we? And so we'll actually come in under the money a little bit on those.
You've got 844,000, that's total.
Yes, sir.
On Gray Road.
No, not for three. There's 483,000 for Pat Dixon, and there's 569,000 for W.S. Smith. Now, these roads changed, so
Okay.
there's three estimates, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got it now. I got it.
Six
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that big.
Per these roads, you've got 1.9 million
Right.
to pay 15 miles, but it changed. We'll update.
If you'll look on the first page on Bridgeford Road, you have 844,000. The number right above it is $1 million, $1,982,000. That's the number that we think you ought to go with. That's the number that has FDR, it's got full depth reclamation, but it's got double surface treatment and a sealant on top of it. I don't think we have to go in, if we're gonna do FDR, I don't think we have to go in with the 1.5 inch of hot mix.
Oh, but there'll also be that intermediate leveling course of asphalt, of super pave that goes on top of your
Yeah, so
FDR.
it won't be an inch and a half thick on top.
It won't be an inch and a half asphalt on top, but it will be it'll be leveling, and then your double surface, and then a sand seal with wash tins on top of that,
And that's what,
which seals the water out, because you gotta keep the water out.
now we can put 1.5 inches of asphalt on it. I'm just trying to make this money stretch as long as we can, and actually, I think, did the DOT,
DOT started using the same process, double surface strip on our state routes.
yeah,
121 would be a good example.
so I think they actually recommended this. So,
And we did traffic counts on these roads to, go ahead, I'm sorry, Gary.
No.
Whereas Bell Telephone, with Rebel Auction there, I mean, it's wide open all day long, so we put down asphalt.
Roll auction in that thing?
That's right. That's-
So you got 4 inches of asphalt on that tub.
But it's your call.
But you needed it.
It's your call.
Now, so we think that $1 million is the best use of your money. Now, I would like to read, on the very first page, you'll see we came in under the money on every one of those. And I'm telling you, that's because we were out there counting tickets and we were out there inspecting it. And he was measuring that asphalt, he was measuring how thick, where it didn't need to be this thick and where it could be, like a belt, I mean, so.
He was checking the spread rate.
And of course, his experience is with DOT. So how many years were you with DOT? 5 years with DOT, so. Anyway, that's our recommendation is to go ahead and go with that. All right. When y'all are ready to, and what we need to do is, we need to figure out what the other 2 roads y'all want, and we'll go ahead and initiate that band change, because right now you don't have that band change. If that's what you want to do.
Unless Kelvin, he's the program manager in this, for this area. This is what he gave me. If it changed, we will make it change whatever you want it to change to. But we do need to make sure the amount of money in Band 2 is about the same.
But I would like, when you feel inclined to turn us loose, especially on Bridgeford Church Road, I would like y'all to vote to turn us loose. I want to be ready. I want to be ready to go.
The sooner we can come together on it, the better it is. There's a lot of traffic.
So, anyway. So whenever y'all ready to do it.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
Good to see you again.
Good
Good to see you.
Gary Falk.
to see you. Appreciate it.
Wayne?
Good to see you.
See you, Wayne. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Counselor? Always a pleasure.
Can I?
See you later.
I'm sure.
Sure, let me get all this stuff out of here.
I'll let you know exactly when it's done.
All right.
Just to let you know that we are.
Come here and hold this thing.
I'm gonna give y'all each of them. Even though you didn't turn us loose tonight, I'm sure you're gonna give y'all.
We can't vote the work session.
One day.
Thank you.
182.
You already looked at the grant there, right, with that one spot in here.
This,
Yeah, we
We're gonna have to
did.
have down some of those where we don't do full depth, we will do a half, which we can, and I don't want to guess, I can't afford to do FDR.
that's what it
But
was.
this is property,
You don't see that on my face.
Yeah.
same road.
I'm impressed, I gotta tell you, I'm
Let me
impressed.
ask you a question. Band 3, when will it come up?
It will be 2 years from now, we'll be back here doing the
3.
same thing.
2 years, 3.
It's 3 years, but it's 2
For
years.
2 years,
I'm gonna be back here.
that's what I was
Oh,
thinking.
yeah, that's right.
This one will start this coming January.
Yeah.
2017, then 16, and then the other one will be 19, 3 years from it.
Can the public ask a couple of questions?
Sure. Yeah, I got it.
You need to, I'll go make this stuff. Thank y'all, guys. I appreciate your time.
I always have questions.
She wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
She wanted to ask you a question.
Couple questions, me, right here. What, have you thought about, I'm sure you have, being a businessman, have you thought about what it would cost to come in and rate our roads?
Yes.
What does that cost?
That is gonna cost between 2 and 4 cents a square yard. And that's gonna run between, you want me to rate a road, it's gonna be like between $200 and $400, $250 and $500 a mile. In other words, and I've got to have a certain miles, I mean, I can't come down $250 way one, but like 50 miles of road, you know, we can come down and do it for that. Then we would give you a comprehensive review of the condition of the road. We will actually core the road, because you don't really know what's down there unless you core it.
That's what I was talking about with this payment management software. You've got to rate it to.
And we went over quick, and we'll come back and do it again if you want us to. What's your next question?
I like that idea. I do, because I'm in disagreement with what roads need to be paid. I know they try to take it fair in one district, this, in this
Right.
district, but there's some roads in worse shape than others. Now, would you recommend to come in and do that countywide or just certain roads?
Well,
The best thing to do is to do it countywide. That way you know what you've got.
it would be a percentage of that. In other words, we want to dedicate a certain percent of all the money just to rate the roads. So we'll do them at, 20 to 50 miles.